stress. We've had a lot of talk in 1.0 and 2.0 where some people say stress is good for you. Others say no, stress is really difficult and causes all kinds of problems. And really, what is it? What actually is stress, and what actually are people talking about when they're talking about these issues? Now, stress is very simple. It's a very natural process. It's a very important process of our existence. It comes in response to a demand. So when something comes up that we need, that we want to, a change that needs to occur, then what we do is we get a stress, we get a build-up of tension that creates a potential for action, which allows the energy to create for an action to occur, and then that demand is resolved. And we have a really interesting demand that comes up 2 or 3 times a day, where we have a whole bunch of things going on. The demand rises, then the body tightens up, and when you get tight enough, it becomes strong and emotionally important enough for you to realize, and you get this wonderful conscious thought of, oh my gosh, I'm hungry. And then you take an action, and that action is you eat some food, and then you're satiated. Now, if you don't take that action, then the demand increases, and that demand increases the tension and in the stress. And if that demand continues to not be responded to, then actually you can start creating all kinds of serious problems in your life. Starvation, then you can go into eating disorders like anorexia and bulimia. So it's the response to the stress and the taking that as a motivation and an opportunity for action. That's what makes stress a very useful process. Demand, stress, action. Brilliant. Now, why doesn't that work? Why do we go on and actually get really freaked out and stressed till we get now? Stress leave is one of the most serious aspects in business and in school life and in university life and in personal achievement, because it seems to stop you from being able to function. And that's exactly what long-term stress does. And so I don't think we should call it stress. Long-term stress is distress. And distress is making you feel as though you are constantly under some serious threat or some serious fear or some serious problem. And the problem is that you're not satisfying the simple demands, and these demands are becoming really heightened and amplified. And the action becomes more and more difficult because the demand is so big and the stress is so strong that the action becomes impossible. And when this becomes distress, then the whole system seems to fall apart and we don't know what we're doing. So working with stress and with distress and understanding the difference really helps you in being able to understand what's going on. And if you really notice your stress and you're talking about your stress, then you know you're not doing anything about it. Now, one of the best things that you can do if you're overstressed is go and talk to somebody. And you go, oh yes, but I don't want to be a failure. I don't want to have people to think I'm no good and I can't succeed. No, that's very clever, because what you're doing is you're going to talk to somebody. I mean, it doesn't have to be a professional like me, but it can be. It could be your parents, or it could be a friend or an uncle or a confidant of some sort. But talk to someone who's going to help you produce the action. And what you're doing when you talk to someone is you're connecting brains. And you're saying, wow, my brain isn't working. Can you use some of your brain to help my brain work better? And that's one of the magics of connecting brains across space. Because one of the things that happens when you get under long-term stress, and we're talking like 2 to 3 weeks of it. I mean, how many of you have been under stress, a demand, the 30-year mortgage, the interest rates, the paying off the bills, worry about the job, all these things that are just ongoing, let alone all those things of keeping up with the Joneses and having the right figure and whatever, being the right fashion, all these ongoing pressures. They shut you down. We talked one time before in one of the Brain Blasts about how we close our brain in on threats and fears and troubles. And that's what stress, when it comes down and closes in. But if you can start to take actions, and the first one is saying, no, let's look at the demand. I wonder what this opportunity is about. And who can I connect with? And you start connecting and engaging. This opens the brain out to what I call a challenging endeavour, a challenge. And the difference between a stress, which is a difficulty or a distress, stress is normal, a distress and a challenge is enormous. And the enormity of its difference is the extent that your brain is open and able to use all its facilities to deal with it. Now you'll find in some of our programs, if you go to richardhill.com, you'll also see some of the training programs. And if you want a stress program, how to deal with and manage distress, then just let me know and give me some ideas of what specifically are affecting you, and we'll create a 12-week program to help you deal with that and incorporate your important needs and your important demands and give you a program that's going to help. But for now, when you find you're overstressed, that's distress. The demand is now getting out of reason. You have to take some action. And what's the wonderful one? Take one small step, and that eventually, when you take a lot of those, will get you to the end result.